Welcome back, everybody. It's another episode of The Business Therapist. I'm your co-host, Chris Angel, with your host, as always, Arnell Tanyag. Arnell Tanyag, what's up, man?
Hey, Chris, how you doing? I'm excited. I always look forward to our recordings.
Yeah.
It's always fun to hear and connect and talk about business all the time.
Yeah, man. Well, listen, I mean, before we hit record, I was getting fired up on our topic because there's this is a massive problem for a lot of people. And you were giving me so many stories. I'm like, hey, let's just hit record because I need to capture all these stories. There's a lot of people that want help growing their business. It's like, there's so many facets now to business with the advent of technology.
Yep.
That there are a lot of different options for how we grow our business. And so I think being overwhelmed by all those choices, everything that providers say they can do to help us grow, everything sounds good. We're like, oh yeah, I guess I need that. And I should probably do that. And pretty soon before we know it, like we've maxed our credit cards, or we're fine, but we're not getting the results we thought. So I really wanted to have this conversation with you because I feel like this is a blind spot for a lot of people.
Yeah. It's interesting. I sit down and over the year, I sit down on one-to-ones and I ask people all the time, do you invest your business? How do you figure out you need help? And it's interesting. I think a lot of business owners or business professionals buy help based on their emotion. Mm-hmm. So when somebody says, hey, I understand where you're coming from, but then they don't really know what they need.
Yep.
They just know they need somebody to fix it.
Yep.
The problem is when the person's fixing it, they don't know if is it coaching, advising, consulting, is it training? I mean, but they have a pool of money, they have a pool of time they can give, and it's like they're just doing the Russian roulette. I hope I throw it out there, I hope it sticks. And it's interesting. I mean, I've had people who been in like startup meetings. I had people been in like networking events. I've been, they go in there, put the time and effort. They're like, it feels good, but I'm not getting any results. And I said, well, what are they doing? You go, well, they give me all this information. But then I got to pull it out to get it, or, I've been presented with a really good feeling presentation, makes me feel good. I show up, but what am I, I said, what are you getting out of this? Well, it's community, but are they helping you map out your process? Or are they helping you kind of drill? And they're like, no, I know I paid all this money. And I was like, wow.
I know, man. Tell me, as the business therapist, this is perfect for you, but I feel like a lot of times it's in addition to the presentation making them feel good. I think part of what makes that presentation feel good is the relief they're anticipating from any sort of help. Like in other words, the pain that they're experiencing from not knowing what to do has become so frantic. Like,
That's
what
correct.
am I going to do? I'm really scared. Like, I got to do something. I need to do something. And the first person that comes along that says anything remotely intelligent that sounds like it could work, you're like, oh God, please help. Here's all my money. Please help me.
Yes. And it's funny. Like I had a gentleman, he's about to close down this restoration company, but he had it for so many years and we worked on and off for many years. Mm-hmm. And he had a TV station call him up and say, hey, you do restoration, fire, water damage. She said, hey, we're going to put you on TV. You're going to be the number one restoration company. So when the storms hit, they'll call you, right? So he asked me, what do you think? I wouldn't do it. I said, if you're going to do it, call them up, ask for 3 references, see if it works. Oh, no, Arnell, I'm going to put all my money in there. They're going to call. I said, I wouldn't do it. I'm just telling you, I don't think it's a good fit. I checked the references. Lo and behold, he spent a large sum of money, got no leads, very devastated. The following year, he didn't want to spend any money on marketing. He was like, I spent all my money on marketing, this and that. But here's not even the funny story. So he was gun shy, didn't spend any money. So we took some time off. And then I had another guy who was doing restoration and he got pitched the same thing. I said, before you spend that money, call the radio station or whatever, the TV station, call them, ask them again for 3 references. And guess what? They gave him the reference of one of the same guy in the beginning I told you about. He goes, yeah, my coach told me not to do it, but I still did it anyway. And the guy goes, who's your coach? Arnell. I was like, oh, I'm not saying that.
That's awesome. That worked out well for you.
Yeah, because interesting thing, and I was telling him, I said, well, everybody, you're right. I think they're looking for a solution, and they're desperate.
Right.
And I think it's because at some point down the road, they're tired of finding the solution or tired of finding the business.
Yeah.
So anybody shows up and says, hey, look, I can help you. You know, I don't think they have a filter. I think they just go, okay, here, show me how you help me. And if it's in my budget,
Right.
you know, but I don't think they interview the vendor. I don't think they really ask the questions. They don't really go into, hey, how can you help me? And I think it sets them up for, it makes them feel good.
You're right.
You know,
you're right. The first thing is they don't ask the questions.
Yep.
The second thing is if they do ask the questions, I think most people don't know the questions to ask, or they don't know what to look for. Like even if you gave them a list of questions to ask,
Yep.
I think a lot of times there is nuance. There
Yep.
is there's something about, you have to understand the game in order to filter their answers. Does that make sense?
Right. That's great. You do. You're right.
Right. So like I have a marketing agency, and if I give somebody a list of questions and I said, well, here, ask these questions, but I didn't teach them what to look for or how I think about marketing, what I think is important about marketing.
Yeah.
The marketing company could say whatever tickled the person's ears and it could sound great, but unless you sort of know what to look for,
That's correct.
you're going to, ultimately, I think you're going to hurt yourself. And this is why business coaching is so important. Like to have a business therapist, to have somebody like you as a sounding board for these kinds of decisions is critical. Like I think a business coach is one of the key pieces of team members in your business. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. Because the interesting thing I was telling somebody, so, you know, when you figure out your target market, like I figured out my target market, it's usually contractors who have several employees, probably doing 350 to 500,000 and grow to $1 million. So now I sat down, okay, here's my target market. And I sat down like Tim Jones say, now where do you think how I can access it, through what channels? Sometimes they're associations,
right?
Sometimes it might be content. But, you know, so we're brainstorming a little bit. How do I access it? Because I already know who I want to get in front of. Now I need to know where the access points, because where do I spend my advertising, my time and money?
Right.
But then who do I go to? Because the challenge is I think people want to bring in, they want business. They don't ask the questions, and I don't really think they know what to look for.
Right.
And the difficult part is they only have so much time and money. And if that doesn't go well, it's like they're taking a big risk.
Right.
If it doesn't go well, then I don't do anything for a while, you know?
You know what that reminds me of? Years ago, I read a book called The Millionaire Real Estate Investor.
Oh, yeah.
And it talked about how real estate investing is not risky. Real estate speculation is risky. And what most people do when they're investing in real estate is they're speculating. And so they lose money in real estate investing because they never had a plan and they weren't educated about the process. They just had money and they're like, hey, I hear real estate investing is really, really good for you. I'm going to put all my money in it. But without a plan, without a team, without educating themselves about it, and then they get burned. I think it's the same for marketing and growing your business. I think a lot of people are speculating about how to grow their business and getting burned in the process because it's speculation. They don't have a plan, they don't have a team, and they're not educated about what to look for.
Yeah, you're right. And I think that you're so right. They're not educated. They're speculating there, and they're not even forecasting a plan. They're thinking, okay, I think this is what people tell me, I'll do this. But then they don't realize is they'll run out of time and money, and their healthy perspective becomes a negative perspective.
Right.
And then when they have good opportunities, they're not going to go after it because they're already tainted.
Right. That's right, man. Dude, you touch the hot oven once and you don't touch it again. Like there's a lot of people who are underfunding their business because of bad past experiences or decisions, you need to be putting money in your business and most of you aren't because you've been burned. And so now you're you're gun shy.
Yeah, you're gun shy. And it's tough too, because at the end of the day, I mean, they're marketing, I think marketing, like Michael Mario was saying, marketing is marketing to or communicating with. And I think the challenge is a lot of people having a hard time when they really want help is what does it look like? What does it entail? And here's the question, like we were talking about today, what do I really need? Right. People don't really know what they need, but they know they need to get fixed. So they don't take time to think about what they need. They just, let me get it fixed. And then it's either a Band-Aid. Right. And then when that Band-Aid opens up, explodes, and everything comes crashing, or they take a little bit of time and they talk to, some people who've been in the business, they talk to other people, they'll ask me, hey, let's do some research, let's talk to some people. And then when they pull the trigger, I go, okay, it's great. Because if they don't, they just keep, it's to keep saying they keep making a bunch of mess, maybe it'll stick. But the reality is that you only have time and money where it won't stick. And then you'll run out of that process,
Yeah. I think that's why people need, a business coach like you in an advisor role for their business, because listen, guys, you can't know everything.
That's correct.
And now that being said, I think it's important to study. I remember that story with, what was it, Henry Ford, I think, who somebody had like defamed him or something. They were like, said something bad about him, right? And he was like, they were like, you couldn't answer this simple question. And he's like, listen, I have a button on my desk that if I push it any time, I could ask any one of my people what the answer is. Like, basically, like, I don't need to know the answer because I have people that know the answer.
That's correct.
I think for a lot of people, like, we need in this fast-paced, changing environment of marketing and business growth, we need to understand the game at a high level. Like, we need to understand like how it all works, the concepts and the philosophies of things, so that we can make decisions. But we need advisors in different roles to give us some of the specifics. Like, and I think that's what you do. I think if somebody's like, hey, Arnell, and you do this so well in multiple verticals, right? You can do this. You can ask great questions about marketing. You can ask people great questions about hiring and about systems and about leverage processes. Like, I think you're a utility knife of sorts, a Swiss Army knife of sorts for people where, in one hire with you, they get multiple perspectives.
You've helped me over this last, and I was asking somebody because I redo my website. He says, what do you do really well? I said, well, I'm that non-equity partner that gets their hands dirty. Here is like what I mean. I was in a sounding board with a couple clients. One client asked me, hey, one of my employees asked for the FMLA Act. And he says, I don't know if I qualify or not. Let me do some research. I'll get it for you. I'll call up Legal Shield, ask them a question and tell you what it is. And she goes, really? I said, you can call your attorney. Oh, no, I don't want to call my attorney. I call my attorney. She's going to charge me $250 an hour or something.
Yeah.
Can you give me some research? Okay, great. And then I had one client, he goes, I need to hire some programmers. And I'm just, but I'm a programmer, but I've been out of space for a couple of years. I said, well, I know this one guy in the area. Like he knows everything going on program, and we get along on Facebook pretty well. Let me reach out to him, see if we have help. As long as you take him out to lunch, because I think he likes lunch.
Yeah.
Take him out to lunch, I think he'll help you. So
right.
So I said, I'll make a connection this and there, and he goes, yeah, it's really good. And then another guy goes, hey man, I want you to remove, I want you to review all my marketing stuff. And I said, sounds really good. And you're right, because I realize it is at the end of the day, I'm the guy from the outside looking in and says, it sounds good, or let's get some resources. And because as an owner, I think the biggest challenge is once we have a path, we're slowed up because we can't find the right people, the right resources, or we don't have somebody helping us ask the right questions, what to look for. We're just aimlessly trying to find our way,
right?
And I think aimlessly trying to find your way is very dangerous, because I think you only have so much time and money, and really you only have so much healthy perspective when it can go really bad really quick,
Right. Yeah. Big time. Well, dude, that's so good. So like, if we made this actionable, I mean, congratulations everybody. We just dropped a bomb on you, which is like, a lot of times we just don't know what to ask for. We don't know what to look for. If we get answers, we don't know how to decipher if it's really going to help or not. So if that is the state of things, how do we start to fix that? How do we start to make good decisions in hiring providers?
Yeah, I think what you have to do is you have to look at, number one is what are your goals in your business? A lot of people have goals or don't goals, revenue. And then what's the one thing that will help you? Is it training? Is it it's like a sounding board? Is it like there's like, here's the result I want, here's where I'm at, and there's a gap. Now, what is it? Do I need training? Is it training for me, or do I need to bounce ideas off other people? Or is it a certain skill I'm missing? Is it? So I think what you have to have is you have to have a group of people that you can go to that can really be, I always tell people you have to be unbiased in the situation, so they tell you the truth, but they're biased to success. So I think that the thing is, you have to have people that know your business, but can be real about what you're in and tell you the truth. And I think, like, I have some people I call and say, hey man, I have some people in my network, hey, I have this situation, what do you think I should do? And they're like, I know, Arnell, I know you really well, but I'm gonna tell you the truth. You're not gonna like it. Well, I said I like it. I said,
Yeah.
don't do it. Okay, then I don't do it because I think you have to have a couple key people that will be in that role, and sometimes you may have to pay for those people to kind of guide you out of the emotion. Because I have some clients that are very emotional, and you got to guide them down to actual plan. Right. Then you have some people who love to plan. You got to get them to be a little bit wild and take risks.
Yeah.
And so I think the hardest thing is depending on the result you have is what's the process? Is it training? Do I need to talk to people? But I think the bottom line, you got to find people that you trust who can just give you the unbiased opinion, tell the truth from a logical sense.
I agree. I agree. I think actually, I think in the beginning, when you're starting out, or even if you've been in it for 20 years, but your results just haven't popped, right? Yeah. You haven't broken through your ceiling. Yeah. I think a lot of times the answer occurs as knowledge, training, a tool.
That's right.
And then once you break through, what you actually start to realize, and I'm learning this myself right now, but I've seen tons of people that I respect who have produced crazy results. The answer actually becomes less of a training and a tool, and it becomes more of a person. Like what you start investing in is people, not tools.
Yes.
You realize that with people who have all the experience that you don't, and you get access to their perspective, you now start buying the right tools, you start reading the right information, taking the right courses because you got the right advice. Without the right advice, you're left to buy a bazillion tools, to read a bazillion books. Like, how do you choose? But when you have the right people pointing you in the direction based on where you want to go and who you are, which is what you do, what Arnell does, you now have the fastest path to where you want to go.
No, you're right about that. That is true. Because I think when we first start out, we buy a bunch of tools and we think we can do it ourselves.
Yep.
And eventually we realize the tools only get us somewhere there, but we don't have the relationship to help us guide us through the process a lot quicker and faster. That's why, like you and I met at the CRT with Mike Mayer. I said the reason I went to get certified from him is because not only did I have the tools, but I didn't have the think tank, the relationships.
Right.
So I would rather go there and get certified and have the relationships. That's how you and I met. Right. So now I have a plan to formulate the referrals for, through Mike Mayer. But you're right. I think we first start out buying tools, and tools are not people. People sell the tool but they may not ask us the right question. Not saying they're not good salespeople who really are consultative, but then eventually when you get to a certain point, you're really looking for the relationships that can guide you to the right tools, because they can give you the advice. And I think that's the key. I think a lot of people are buying tools, are not looking for the right relationships to guide them through how to grow their business. I think they're assuming a tool is simple, easier, but it doesn't mean it's going to really help them.
Right. Totally. Right. You might get lucky if you go spending money on tools. You might get lucky and buy a right tool, but for most people, dude, listen. You had so many stories before we hit record, but like somebody who went and spent $2,000 over 3 months on Facebook ads or whatever it was, or like there are people who are spending money like crazy on tools only to realize like that tool didn't produce the result.
Oh yeah. I remember, you're right. I had somebody who spent like almost $2,000 off some type of social media, and I told her, I said, why'd you go? Well, she said she could help me. I said, well, I was like $2,000. I was like, did you get any results? No, I didn't get anything. Now she's gun shy, and I was like, wow. I said, we should have talked. She said, why? Because knowing your business, I think it's word of mouth and really targeting. Mm-hmm. And she goes, really? I said, yeah, I wouldn't spend any money on social media until I figured out who your actual target market clients are, where you get it from. Right. I said, $2,000. And she goes, yeah, it was a lot of money I spent. But now I'm gun shy. I'm really cautious. And I told her, I think you need to redo your website because it doesn't really talk about your value proposition. Mm-hmm. But she doesn't want to spend any money right now. I said, well, then you really have to go out there and network and build. That's going to be really hard. Right. You kind of blew all your capital.
I know. That is so tough, because once you get totally gun shy. Yeah. Once you dig a hole of debt.
Yes.
From a bad decision, you're like, dude, I don't want to ever do that again. And so then we just play like we play not to lose. We hedge everything, and we try to play defense all the time with no offense in your business. And that's a really hard place to get ahead.
Yeah, it is really hard. And it's a shame too, because at the end of the day, you have people who really want to grow their business, but then they get sold on something that's a nice tool, but they don't have a relationship, or they have gotten burned so much they can't tell what's a good thing or not. They're very skeptical.
Right.
And I think I think today there's so much access to tools.
Right.
People are selling tools.
Yep.
But there's really no relationship to say, I had one guy came to me, he said, he came to one of my network groups. Arnie, I want to join this network group. I said, no, you need to join this other one because it has so many groups in the area. And I think if you knew our process, you'll grow. He goes, really? I want to join yours. I said, no, mine's going to take a lot longer for you to get business out of.
Right.
The one you're already in that has like 25, 23 groups, you'll do well. He goes, really? Yeah. Cause I don't need to make them. I don't care about, I said, I don't want to make money at your, at you not doing well. I said, at the end of the day, I said to him, I said, look, you go over there, you'll make great income. We can still have a relationship. I just wanted to show you what I'm doing, but you don't really need this part. Go there. And he was like, man, really? I said, I want the relationship.
Right.
And I'll recommend the better tool.
Right.
But I don't want to sell you my tool. And then you look at me like, did he just sell me something?
Right.
Yeah. And that's then the relationship changes.
I think when you're talking to people who sell tools, obviously they like their tool, otherwise they wouldn't sell it.
That's right.
But their interest is in selling their tool.
That's correct.
When you work with an advisor, when you have somebody on your team who is a fiduciary, whose job it is to protect your interests, then their advice comes from what's best for you, not them trying to sell a tool. It's not about the tool now. It's about you having the right decision. And that's why I think people really need to have a business therapist or a business coach or consultant and advisor in their team. So I think we can keep going on this, but let's wrap here, Arnell.
That's right.
Like if people want to reach out to you because they're looking for, they want to break through their ceiling.
Yes.
Right. They're tired of making, they're tired of speculating about how to grow their business. And they want some very sound advice about the options they have and the decisions they need to make in order to grow.
That's correct.
How do people reach out to you and have a free conversation with you?
Yeah, just give me a call, 757-752-8169. That's my office line, or they can go to my website, www.tanyag.net.
Perfect. TANYAG.net. Perfect. Got it. Good stuff, Arnell. Man, dude, this is so great. I love it. Love talking to you. Until next time.
That's great. Thank you.